Well, welcome to Suburban On Air, and it's my privilege today to have two young ladies who are fantastic role models in our community. We have Katherine Rose, Miss Montreal. Welcome, Katherine.
Hi.
Joining us from beautiful downtown Beaconsfield. And joining us from NDG is Miss Teenage Quebec, Clara Chemtov. Clara, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so it's terrific to have both of you with us. I wanted to first ask you, of course, this is not a normal year when you're in a prestigious competition like this. So, Katherine, I'll start with you first. You were crowned Miss Montreal. When did that occur? And because of COVID-19, how has that delayed any further competitions?
Well, I had my online interview with Michelle Waswaldi, who was Miss World Canada in 1996. We had that interview on Skype in February, where it was just a simple interview where she asked me my interests and my background and what I'm planning on doing with my life. And then in March, they decided that I would be the title holder for Montreal. And then everything went into lockdown pretty much the week after.
So you were supposed to be, you said in July, there was supposed to be the competition. Where was that going to take place?
In
And
Toronto.
okay, so uh, disappointed, I presume. I mean, that you were looking forward to being in part of that, and with COVID delaying it.
Sure, but on the other hand, I'm just grateful that I haven't personally been affected by COVID and nobody in my circle has been affected by COVID. So I'm just grateful that I'm healthy and that I don't have to worry about anything. I just have to stay home.
Yes, for sure. So Clara, you also were crowned earlier this year, and you were supposed to, I believe, also go to Toronto. So how were you crowned? First of all, Miss Teenage Quebec. How did that come about, and what's your delay in terms of further competition?
So for Miss Teenage Canada, each province has their own qualifying pageant. Ours was a more informal setting, kind of like an audition that took place in November. So in November, I participated in the provincial competition of Miss Teenage Quebec. And then a couple of months later, I found out that I had gotten the title of Miss Teenage Quebec, which was pretty awesome. And our final pageant, Miss Teenage Canada, would have taken place at the end of June, also in Toronto. As of right now, they've moved it to the end of August, but that's still tentative. So we're going to stay tuned for updates.
Well, anyway, you're still both great ambassadors for what you're doing now. Katherine, you have a very interesting story. You're 28 years young, and you told me that when you attended Beaconsfield High School, you were terribly bullied. Can you elaborate upon that?
Well, I've written about it a little bit in my blog. Basically, as I was growing up in my family, we're just not a very close family. It wasn't a strong foundation. So really, my siblings were kind of my first bullies in life. They treated me horribly growing up. So by the time I went into high school, I had no self-esteem. And just the way my parents treated me as well growing up, like just not having any birthday parties because everything was just seen as too much of an expense and things like that. So my self-esteem going into high school was horrible. Um, my mother would not buy me a bra for my developing body, so because I was seen as another unnecessary expense. So unfortunately, people bullied me about my body. So I was just bullied in that way, unfortunately, and that lasted all throughout high school, right up until I graduated, unfortunately.
Well, look at you now. What do you have to say to those people now? You're a beautiful young woman who's ambassador for all young women across the country, probably right now. You've got a great career headed. You're doing all kinds of good things. What do you have to say to all those people now? I bet a lot of them are looking at you and say, I can't believe that's Katherine Rose.
Maybe. But I mean, I don't feel any kind of animosity or bitterness about it. It was part of my journey, and it's what made me who I am today.
Interesting. Clara, you were at Royal West Academy, and you also went through some rough times with an eating disorder, which you've spoken openly about. This year, you went to a French CEGEP. So first, maybe can you tell us a little bit about the eating disorder and how you overcame it, first of all?
For sure. Well, I would say it started around grade 10, and it was brought on by a lot of factors. But one of the interesting things that I'm hoping to achieve by speaking about it is to raise more awareness. And it's also that I haven't quite overcome it. So I'm actually still in the middle of recovery. So I'm hoping that by sharing bits of my journey along the way, I'm going to be able to show other people that yes, this is possible. And I think almost more importantly, I'm going to show myself that this is possible. And as far as CEGEP goes, after going to Royal West, I have to say I had an amazing experience there. It's one of the schools that really shaped me as a person. And I just thought, you know what? I've never had the opportunity to explore the French side of the city. And I thought that could be something really interesting because my whole life I've been surrounded by Anglophone communities, and that's where all of my friends are, my dance school, my synagogue, everything. And I just thought, wow, maybe this is a chance for me to take a big step. So I was attracted both by the language factor and also one of the programs. But okay, let's do it. We're going to jump right into CEGEP in French. And I don't regret it at all because, for one, my French has improved monumentally. And I feel like I've just learned so much about another culture that I was living right next to without necessarily being able to immerse myself in it. So now I feel like I'm getting that opportunity to really experience what it's like on the other side.
That's fantastic. Now, Katherine, you're in school. Tell us what you're studying, and also, well, I'll start off asking you that. I know it's very interesting.
Yes, I'm in beauty school right now. I go to the Gordon Robertson Beauty Academy, and I'm studying to be an esthetician.
And there's a cause that you've been pushing for, you're very big on, it's human trafficking. Why? Why human trafficking? Why is that important to you to speak up against it?
I'm actually a survivor of human trafficking because, as I said, the way that I grew up, I wasn't receiving any love or support from my family. I wasn't receiving any love or support from people at school, so I had nobody to turn to. So by the time I was 19, I was just so vulnerable and just so broken down that I became a perfect target for a human trafficker. And he took me, I can't really go into too many details because I'm actually going to be testifying in court in July. But yes, I was taken 5 hours away from Montreal. I had no way of contacting the police or anybody. I didn't have a phone. I was raped, I was beaten, I was starved. And after I escaped, people, whenever I would try to share my story or anything like that, people would just kind of label me a certain way and just put all the blame on me. And I just want to make people more aware of how human trafficking works. Like, these girls are not bad girls making bad decisions. They're just little girls just like I was who had bad things done to them.
You're very brave to tell your story, and I applaud you for it.
Thank you.
Clara, you one of the things for Miss Teenage Quebec is the Children's Wish Foundation. How have you been involved in that organization?
Well, each delegate going to Miss Teenage Canada is responsible for fundraising for the Children's Wish Foundation. And so far, I have to say, it's been a bit challenging to fundraise in these times. But so far, I've been doing some online efforts, and soon I'll be doing some more online virtual events like trivia nights and things like that. I'm really glad to be affiliated with this cause because they make truly amazing memories for children with life-threatening illnesses, and they're just cherished memories for them and their families. So it's really a fantastic cause, actually.
All right, I'm going to wrap it up by asking each of you, Clara first. COVID-19, it's here. It's not going away anytime soon. How are you keeping yourself busy, Clara?
I found one of the most important ways for me to be practicing self-care and staying busy is to work on creative projects. So for me, that's looked like making music, dancing, any kind of ways of just connecting with art and with other people. On top of that, I've been doing a weekly live stream to help keep people's spirits up. So every week has a theme or a special guest who I interview. And that's been happening on Instagram every Friday, which has always been something to look forward to. And aside from that, just really staying in touch with my friends and family as much as possible, either by phone call, by text, through FaceTime, just really making sure that I'm not staying isolated.
And you're 17 years old?
Yeah.
All right, terrific. Well, I applaud you. Now, Katherine, what are you doing to keeping yourself busy? I know you're doing online some of your school.
Yes, we have some certain subjects Monday to Friday, just for 2 hours a day. And like Clara said, I'm also just focusing on self-care, self-love. I'm very big into meditation, so I'm always doing my guided meditations every day. And currently, I'm writing a letter to all the nursing homes in Montreal. I want to reach every senior there because they're the ones who have been affected the most by COVID-19. So I actually have this little stack of letters that I'm working on that I'm going to be sending out. So I just want them to know that even though Montreal is reopening, we haven't forgotten about them. We still care, and we're still thinking about them.
Well, I want to take even though I'm not wearing a hat, I want to take, if I had a hat, I'd take it off to both of you because you are fantastic.
Thank you.
As a father myself, I'm seeing what both of you are doing, and you're an inspiration. So keep up the great work. We'll follow each of your stories, and I want to wish you both the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clara and Katherine have been our guests today.